The Forgotten Library. At the edge of the oldest forest stood a building no one visited anymore. Its roof was covered in moss, its windows clouded with dust, and its heavy doors had not been opened in generations. The villagers called it the Forgotten Library. They said it was once a place of knowledge and magic, where books whispered to those who listened, and maps unfolded themselves to reveal secret paths. But time had buried its memory, and now only curious children spoke of it in hushed voices. One autumn afternoon, as the sun sank low, the friends were exploring near the forest when they stumbled across a trail of fallen leaves, unlike any others, each one covered in words, written in glowing ink. The words shifted and changed, as though alive, forming a sentence. Find the stories that must not fade. Intrigued, they followed the trail until it ended at the grand doors of the library. With a push, the doors groaned open, revealing rows upon rows of shelves that stretched higher than they could see. Dust floated in the air like tiny stars, and the silence was so complete it felt sacred. As they wandered between the shelves, they noticed something strange. Many of the books were blank, their pages empty, as though their stories had been erased. On one pedestal lay an open tome with a single message written in elegant script. The keeper sleeps. Awaken him before the last story is gone. They pressed deeper into the library, lantern light flickering across carved stone walls and forgotten staircases. Finally, in the center of the grand hall, they found a massive globe made of crystal, cracked and dim. Surrounding it were hundreds of blank books, piled high, and slumped against the globe was a figure cloaked in shadows. The keeper of stories, fast asleep. Is he dreaming? One friend whispered. He looks like he's fading, another said. At that moment, the empty books rustled as though alive. Words began to drift out of them like smoke, rising into the air and vanishing. The stories of the world were disappearing. Determined, the friends tried everything to wake the keeper. They called his name, though they did not know it. They shook him, but he did not stir. Finally, one of them opened a blank book and began to speak, not to read, but to tell. They told a story of friendship, of courage, of finding hope in dark places. As their voices filled the hall, the blank pages shimmered and words appeared. Lines of glowing text, rewriting themselves. The keeper stirred. His shadowed form lifted its head, and two eyes like lanterns opened. You remembered, he said, in a voice that echoed like wind through pages. Stories live only when told. I was forgotten, and so the library began to fade, but you have reminded it of life. He placed a hand on the cracked globe. Light spilled through it, running like rivers of gold up the shelves, filling every book with words again. Blank pages flooded to life. Maps painted themselves with vivid colors, and the library seemed to breathe. The keeper stood tall, no longer shadow but bright as starlight. Go, he said gently. Tell stories. Keep them alive. For as long as someone remembers, none will ever be lost again. When the friends stepped back outside, the doors closed softly behind them. The glowing leaf trail was gone, but in their hands they carried a single book, its cover blank, its pages empty, waiting for their own adventures to be written. And from that day on, whenever the wind passed through the forest, it sounded like pages turning, as if the library itself was listening, never forgotten again.